welcome. It's been a while, but with the lifting of a few covert restrictions around here, I've found other things to do, and that includes getting out on the bike. Look, I love my Goldwing. It's perfect. It's a beast in one aspect and it's refined in the other. But the thing is, there's nothing to do on it. So I've got another bike in the garage, and that's coming up next. As the intro suggests, I've bought another bike. Now, just a little bit of a backstory to it. My youngest son is looking at getting back into motorcycling, and I normally keep an eye on the market and see what's around and see what he might like. And as it turned out, I started thinking, I might pick up a bike that I can have a bit of work on and have a bit of a project. So I started looking. Now, in Victoria and Australia, we have a club permit scheme, and it allows me to put a vehicle on this permit for 45 days at 86 Australian dollars, or 90 days for just over 160, which is a lot better, and I can't justify having two motorbikes on full registration at $600, $700 a year. So I thought what I need to do is, one of the qualifications for club permit is to have a vehicle over 25 years old. So I went looking for motorcycles in that age group. And I started looking. I tend to be a bit of a Honda devotee, so I looked at Hondas, and I like bigger bikes, and basically I came up with a CBR1000F. This thing is a 98 model, and I'll just show the picture now. For those of you who have done the maths, you're right, it is not 25 years old. It's a 98 model, but it was born in 1297. So at the end of next year, it turns 25 and eligible for the permit scheme. That means that for the next 12 months or so, I'm going to have it registered. So I'll just have to cop that on the chin. Now, as you can see, it's a very neat looking bike. I'm not a very big person on older looking bikes. Luckily, for 25 years old, this bike still looks, has a modern edge. So I picked this bike up for around 3,500 Australian dollars. I guess that's just short of 3,000 American. And this thing was registered, so currently rideable on the road. It had 26,000 genuine kilometres on it. So exceptional. And the bodywork there's not a stone chip in it. It ran like a dream. The guy had spent a fair bit of money keeping it fresh, hadn't really ridden it for 12 months. And it was lucky that I turned up within 2 days of advertising and picked up a bargain. As mentioned earlier, I bought this bike as a project, something to do up in my spare time. And I may have a little bit more of that upon retirement soon. The only thing is, this bike is in very good condition. It has a few little things that need tidying up and rejuvenating, and I'll get to those in the future. But at the moment, it's a great rider. It's a totally different bike to the Goldwing. It's more of a sports sort of orientated bike, although it is 1000cc. It's still got heaps of go in it. But what I find is that to go to and from work, it's a great bike on the odd Sunday ride. Now, the luxury is I have a choice now. I can relax upright and scoot along on the Goldwing very comfortably and take all my gear with me. Or I can get down on my wrists and bend my knees and jump on the CBR. So it's the best of both worlds. Now, me being me, I can't leave things alone. The bike was all standard. You'll see in a few of the pictures coming up, it had an original tail on it, so a very long mudguard with a number plate bracket, all in plastic. The original mufflers, which had a couple of marks on, but not scrapes. And I decided that I wouldn't mind something a little bit flashier on the muffler side with a little bit more note, and a tidy tail. Now, a tidy tail you can't buy. And unlike a lot of the modern bikes, you can't just unbolt a little frame and chuck a new aftermarket frame on it. I had to actually fabricate the full tail tidy, which means half of the rear mudguard, and I'll show you some pictures coming up soon. In fabricating the rear tail tidy, what I did was I pulled the old plastic mould away from the rear of the bike, which meant basically disassembly of the whole back end of the bike. And using a paper template up there, I cut a single piece of galvanised steel and formed it into the one-piece tail tidy. Now, I had to cut separate gussets on the side for the curve going over the wheel and a triangle support behind the number plate. Apart from that, it's a one-piece deal. You can see here the two comparison from the original OEM tail compared to the one I've made, and hopefully you'll appreciate there's a bit of work in that, but I think it looks a little bit neater. And I'll show you a picture of the completed item that sits on the bike now. So next to do was the mufflers. Now the mufflers have heat shields in the front of them, which also form part of the bracing for the lower front fairing. When I took the mufflers and the heat shields off, I had to actually fabricate a little stainless steel brace, so that was no big deal. Luckily I went to my friend the exhaust guy and we fitted the mufflers you see here on the picture up there, and we've also had to make custom joiner pipes from the actual box underneath the engine up to the front of the muffler, and they turned out really well. It sounds nice, it's not overly loud, and I'll soon put up a sound bite of the original mufflers and the new mufflers, so enjoy that. Another small addition to the bike, and it's pretty well getting to the point where it's a must-have on motorbikes nowadays, is a phone mount. Now, I fabricated using an aluminium piece of sheet to put a aftermarket phone mount in a position where it was easily visible. What it is dead center. It allows me to use navigation just below the actual dash line, so I get to see all the instruments, and the navigation's right in front of me, so that works well. And obviously with a phone you need the power source, so I've also fitted a USB power adapter just underneath there as well. The last thing I had to do just to tidy it up to make it nice, well, for me nice anyway, the rear grab rail for the pillion, it's a cast unit and the paint on it was terrible. It looked like it was flaking, lumpy, and I thought it was actually corroded. So I've taken that off and cleaned it right down with a wire brush on a wheel, and then recoated it in a brass colour to match the Honda emblem and a bit of the gold and brass colour on the actual decals. So I've mounted that back on, and as a result I'm happy, it's all done, and now I just get to enjoy riding it. So here's the finished picture of the bike as it stands now. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this little video. See you next time.